Good afternoon, guys. This past week was very challenging with Coach Marlin not being able to be there due to COVID. I thought the staff and the players responded exceptionally well, getting two big wins in Texas State. Now we have to move on, and all our focus is on Arkansas State. Two more road games, which is going to be very challenging. 5 of our next 8 are on the road, so we're happy to be in first place on February 1st, but our goal is to be in first place on March 1st, and that will be a challenge. And with that, I'll take questions.
So the fact that, well, first of all, tell us about, from a coaching standpoint, the last minute or so of Saturday's game from a strategy standpoint.
The strategy was try to get the ball back and score. What we wanted to do, we were disappointed in the call against Cedric. We thought we had a good play design. Obviously, Cedric was the guy that had to have the ball. He's really good at getting the ball into the paint and getting a shot off against pressure. So we knew he was going to have the ball. They knew he was going to have the ball, and they loaded the paint. They took a charge. Right call, wrong call, doesn't matter. They took the charge. The call was made. Now we have to regroup very quickly, set up a man-to-man press where we're trying to deny an inbounds pass, get a 5-second call. And I think Asbury took his eye off the ball, so to speak, at the very end to check where the defender was, in this case, Devin Butts. And in doing so, he mishandled the pass. Devin was Johnny on the spot, got the ball, and pulled a John Havlicek or a Larry Bird with Johnny Most making the call, and was able to score and give us the go-ahead basket. Very exciting ending. Coaches always say every possession counts, and that was no truer than what happened in Texas State on Saturday.
How would you say your team has excelled at responding to adversity, not having the head coach there, and then obviously finding a way to win a tough game on the road, and then adding in the mix that, you guys trail with less than 4 seconds left? How do you think this team has gelled together to respond to adversity?
I think they've done a really, really good job. And I think all that credit has to go to Coach, because he's put a process and a criteria in place, a structure in place to handle this. Everyone's got a job responsibility, staff and players, and the roles are defined. And Coach's mantra every day in practice is do your job. And if you do your job effectively and efficiently, we'll be fine. But everyone's got to pull together at the same time. And we were able to do that last week. Now, Coach was in daily contact with the staff via Zoom. He was in daily contact with the players. So even though he wasn't there physically, his handprint was all over the game plan. And I thought the staff and the players did a great job of executing that. Now, we're in a very challenging part of our schedule. Starting with Texas State, 7 of our next 10 games were going to be on the road. Now 5 of our next 8 are going to be on the road. So if we're going to be the best team we can possibly be, you have no choice but to face adversity head on, face challenges head on, and be prepared for those. That's why practice is so critical to what we do in the process of executing game plans. And when you're able to do this, especially on the road against a good team in Texas State, they've got good players, they play hard. And the second half of the second game was like a prize fight, punch, counterpunch, where there was something like, 12 lead changes and 12 ties. So I thought the players and the staff did a great job in handling the situation and the challenges without Coach Marlin there. I thought Coach did a very good job of making sure that he was involved as best he could be with the game planning. And if you're going to win a series like this, 2 one-possession games, then you've got to have everybody in the right place at the right time, performing at their best. There's a saying in coaching, and I use this all the time with the kids as well, is that be at your best when your best is required. And people were able to do that over the weekend.
What's your update on Coach Marlin? Is he going to be back for this game this Friday, and is he back at practice this week?
I believe he is set to come back on Wednesday.
But he's definitely back for the game on Friday?
If he's back on Wednesday, I'm assuming he'll be at the game on Friday, yeah.
So have anybody gotten on Coach Marlin yet that every time he's out, something historic happens?
Well, that's how we planned it, Kevin. That's just how the stars kind of line up. He reached his 200th and 200th first win, I believe. He was the fastest in this league to 100 wins. And if we're fortunate to win this weekend, I think he'll be the fastest to get to the all-time winning percentage or all-time winning number of games in the Sun Belt Conference. That's a significant accomplishment. But once again, coaches have missed games across the board in all kinds of sports this year. You name it. Coach Saban, he missed the Auburn football game. Coach Martin in South Carolina has missed a couple games. So you name the sport, head coaches have missed games. And that's where your process and your daily way of going about things, your structure, has to be spot on. And if it is, you can handle this, whether it's a coach or a player. And, I think we have that. And if we didn't have that, we couldn't have had the success we had this weekend in Texas State. And all that credit has to go to Coach Marlin, because that's where it starts and that's where it stops. Defining roles is critical with your staff and player. Executing those roles is omnipresent, and being efficient and effective with how you do things is what will get you victories, especially on the road. And it helps when a guy like Devin Butts is Johnny on the spot and scores 18 points coming off the bench. Don't let me forget that as well.
You mentioned that you guys are in first place on February 1st, but you want to be in first place on March 1st. But to be in this position to, I guess, control your own destiny in the West, what does that mean for this team right now?
Well, when you control your own destiny, it's all up to you. When you need help, it's not. And that's the major difference. Right now, we control our own destiny, but we have to take it one game at a time. And I know that sounds like coach speak, and I guess it is. But, everyone talks about sweeps on weekends. You got to get the sweep. You got to get the sweep. No, what you got to do is you got to win on Friday. And that's where it starts. And how do you get to Friday and win? By being good on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday in practice. So that's where it starts, and that's where it ends. Because if you're not good on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, you're no good on Friday, which means it's not going to help you a lot on Saturday. And coach has been very, very strict about that, talking about the most important game is Friday. And after Friday, we'll move on to Saturday. And that's how you're able to sustain momentum and sustain success, is by players realizing it's what we do today that counts. Not what happened yesterday. Let's not try to guess what's going to happen tomorrow, but let's focus on today and the effort and the attitude and the efficiency we bring to today and the focus that we bring to today in doing our job as structured and as defined by the head coach, so that we can perform at our best when our best is required.
Coach, how significant, y'all been winning a lot of close games. Almost every game has been close and competitive this whole conference season. How significant is to be able to consistently win close games? Is it more important is the defensive improvement that this team has made and being able to win all these close games, whereas in the past couple of years, y'all might have lost, I think, some of these games because y'all weren't as good defensive?
Oh, there's no question. When you win a close game, everything matters, but everything matters gets, amplified. And because it's a 1 or 2 possession game, and that's what really drives you nuts about a real close game. 1 or 2 possession game is you can go back to the 3rd possession in the first half, the 10th possession in the first half, or the second to last possession of the game. But what's got to happen, Kevin, is you've got to be consistent. And if you're consistent, you have a chance to succeed. Now, having said that, it's up to the players to perform and do their job. And defensively, there's no question, I think we're better. But as well as offensively, you've got to be able to make shots, because what wins basketball games? It's made shots, no matter where they're from behind the three-point line, A-range shots at the basket, or from the free throw line. Now, Saturday, it was a defensive play that allowed us to succeed. And like I said, there were 12 lead changes. There were 12 ties in the second half. In the first game, we led for some 36 and a half minutes. Even though it was a 1-possession game, I really felt like we were in control of the entire game. Saturday, it wasn't that way. And to win a close game like that, you really had a tournament-style atmosphere. And these games, I think, will serve us well when we get into a conference tournament. It'll give the guys confidence, and you don't have that panic factor because you've been there and you've done that, and you succeeded in doing that. Don Maestri, the old coach at Troy, used to say it best. He goes, one thing teaches you how to win, and that's winning. And we've been fortunate to do that. Now, having said that, 5 of our next 8 are on the road. So what's the focus? The focus is on today, preparing for Arkansas State on Friday, and then worrying about Saturday when it gets here. But the confidence it gives your players and staff when you can come away with 1 and 2 possession game wins is, invaluable come tournament time.
How do you explain?
Murph,
Go ahead.
What's the update on your injured guys? At one point, much earlier, Coach was saying there was possibility with at least one of Julian or Caldwell being available late January, early February. What's the update on those guys?
Well, we're already in February, right? It's Groundhog Day, so let's see what he has. Puxatawny Phil has to say about that. But it's a day-to-day thing. Neither one is they're working towards rehabbing, but neither one's on the court doing any sort of team activities. Now they are rehabbing. They're able to do some skill work individually, but more than that, I really can't comment. You'd have to ask the medical staff. But obviously, those two guys were big pieces of the puzzle before the year started. We know what Kobe can do. We've seen it. We have yet to have Dury on the court. Once he gets there, I think it'll be exciting. But right now, we're moving forward with what we have on the court. Once again, going back to control what you can control today. This is what we control. These are the players we have. They're doing a very good job for us. But if we can get those two guys back, it would be great. If we can't, that's fine too, because we're going to move forward with what we have.
Coach, with this playing the team 4 times in the regular season thing, I would have, if you'd have told me you were going to shoot 57%, I would have thought it would have been on the first or the second meeting, not the 4th meeting. So why is it that the offense seemed to have an advantage as you get deeper into these series and know each other so much more?
Well, I think on a back-to-back, fatigue plays a major factor in what you're going to be able to do offensively or defensively. And if you don't have your legs, it's hard to move on defense and it's hard to shoot, especially from the three-point line when you don't have your legs. Other than that, I think it's just players and staffs game planning a little bit in between both games to see where you can, pick up an edge. There's really not a lot you're going to be able to do scheme-wise with less than 24 hours to prepare, but you look for just a little thing you can do which may give your player an advantage. A lot of it has to come down to confidence. I mean, for Cedric Russell, he scored 21 on Saturday, made three-point shots. On Friday. On Saturday, he scored 24, made 6 threes. A lot of it has to do with confidence. And that's a powerful thing for any sort of athlete, is when you believe in what you're doing and how you're doing it, and then you have the results, that's a major factor in anyone's productivity.
Talk about his leadership.
He's done a great job. He's a senior, and he's been around for a long time. He's played a lot of basketball. Ced is a fairly quiet individual. He really keeps to himself, but I think the players really respect what he does. The staff knows they can count on him to be there when it's needed. He wants the ball in his hands when you have to be at your best, when your best is required. And that's a special thing. Not a lot of athletes want to do that. Some run from it. He doesn't. And he's been able to be productive when he has the ball in his hands. And it's really a pleasure to see him having this success. The Sun Belt Player of the Week honor was well-deserved after this weekend. So he's done a really good job for us, and we'll need him to be at his best for the remainder of the season for us to be the team that we want to be and to be the best team that we can be.
So I got just one quick one. We'll make it hypothetical. And by the way, you got to wait till tomorrow for Puxatawny Phil. About 5:30 our time. I just Googled it. Total hypothetical. Inbounding with 3.4 seconds left and a 1-point lead, tightly defended on the baseline. Is that the conventional first option pass? In other words, is there, with 3.4 seconds left, is that way too much time for a deep pass to run out some time?
Probably. Now, we had taken Duguay off the ball, and he was the center fielder in the backcourt. And in the front court. So he was there for a long pass to help defend that. He was like that extra safety or defensive back in a game. You want to inbound it. You want to make the pass as short as possible because you're going to get fouled. So time and score is to your advantage. That's what you try to do, because if you throw it long, and it goes out of bounds, the home team or the team that was defending gets the ball at their basket with no time expired. That's the chance you take. So, there's a couple different things you can do, but throwing the ball long in that instance with a center fielder, which is what we had in Duguay at the time, probably would have been a mistake. With 0.4 seconds, that's the only option they had, because it was a catch and shoot. You didn't have to tip; it was a catch and shoot. And we were fortunate we came up with a loose ball and were able to convert on our end. So hypothetically, is there something else you could do? I guess you could say that about everything that you do in the game across the spectrum of sports. But fortunately, things worked out for us at the end, because during I thought the timeout, the huddle during the timeout was really, really good. Everybody was very positive. And after Cedric's charge call, where he made the basket and was waved off because of the charge, nobody really hung their head. We got into what we needed to get into. We took Dew off the ball. We tried to get a 5-second count. I thought the staff did a really good job of maintaining composure and discipline and communicating to the players what needed to be done. And fortunately for us, it worked out because guys, once again, did their job in that instance, and that allowed us to win the basketball game. But throwing it long with 3.4 seconds is probably, I probably wouldn't do that. Now, if we had somebody on the ball where you can get a one-on-one, maybe. But once again, if the ball goes out of bounds without it being tipped, now the defensive team gets the ball back under their own goal, and now you've got a real challenge on your hands.
Yeah. So you had Dew at half court, basically.
A little bit deeper than that. Correct. Yes, we weren't going to allow a long pass, and
gotcha.
That worked out to our favor. And because of that, though, that took that option away, and they had to throw it short. And I would have done the same thing. I want to shorten the pass because chances are, the defensive team's going to foul right away. We go to the free throw line with a very good free throw shooter, which is what Asbury is, with a chance to extend it to a 3-point game.
Coach, you brought up peaking, and you don't want to peak too early, but you don't want to peak too late. It seems like, do you feel like y'all really haven't peaked yet? Y'all still have better basketball?
Oh, I think you always feel that way about your team, regardless of the sport. We can get better. We can get better all the time at everything. And that's the beauty of athletics, right? Especially in this sport, because players have to play both sides of the basketball, offensively, defensively. You don't have specialty guys. You don't have guys that play just one side of the ball. So you're always searching for ways to get better. And that's why practice is so important to our sport. Competitive practice, disciplined practice, efficient practice. So you're always looking to get better. Can we become a better basketball team? Yes, we can. Are we the best we're going to be? Not yet. But we're working every day with people doing their job to the best of their ability, trying to become that team. And it's hard to do, but everyone tries to do it. And I think we're doing a good job of it now. But once again, let's see what happens on Friday before we get to Saturday.
I think I got time for one more.
Go ahead. They seem to take Theo out. Is playing that third and fourth game, was that the big advantage they had, that they were able to minimize Theo's impact on the series?
Yeah, I think so a little bit. I mean, obviously they made that adjustment, and Theo's going to get a lot of attention, and which is well deserved because he's been very good around the basket. He's been hard to stop. Now, having said that, we did not have Duguay the first series against Texas State, and I thought on Friday Dew was really, really good in taking Isaiah Small out of the game. Dew had 11 points and 10 rebounds, a double-double. Had he played the first series against Texas State, would we have won the second game? I don't know, but I like our chances with him in the lineup. Isaiah Richards, once again, as a young freshman, isn't playing heavy minutes, but he was productive in the second game. He was 2 for 3, came up with some big points, had some nice passes around the basket, came up with some rebounds, and he really had a solid weekend for us. So we're very encouraged by his development. And there's another young man who's got a high ceiling. So, as you said, we're not peaking. We're trying to get to be the best team we can be. We're not there yet, but we're working every day to do that. But with Theo out of the lineup, I mean, not out of the lineup, but when Theo struggles and doesn't have his rhythm, other guys have to step up. And we had that happen in Isaiah, and obviously Devin Butt's coming off the bench to score 18 in the second game, just not the last basket of the game, but he scored 18 coming off the bench, was critical to our success. We had 24 bench points between him and Isaiah Richards. And that was critical for a game that had 12 lead changes and 12 ties, which is a really unique way to play. I mean, you really have to grind that game out. That's a tournament-style game. And the fact that we won, I think, will give us confidence going down the road.